astrology based on everything that's going on, and I'm going to keep on pushing through with this because I feel like this is important information to know. So I'm at least going to have this out there. Bryce, what's up? I'm back on this live stream. I want to just at least get some of this information out there so that I can reshare this video and just have it live on my Instagram. So with everything that's going on in the world, I took a look at the natal charts of the Ukraine, Russia, Canada, the United States, Vladimir Putin, fucking Justin Trudeau, Joe Biden. I even looked at NATO's treaty natal chart. And so I have a lot of natal charts in my brain. Now, normally for an astrologer, you kind of want to have the charts in front of you. So it's kind of hard not to see the wheels of the natal charts in front of me. But from all the information that I looked at, and now mind you, with the United States and Canada, they are both the same exact sun sign in the sign of Cancer, and they're under sort of this umbrella of the UK, which is a Capricorn. So for me, that was an easier sort of look at this. This is a very like structured sort of energy. When I'm looking at Russia and Ukraine, it's insane to look at the fact that, you know, Russia's chart is absolutely fascinating. It is a Sun conjunct Saturn conjunct the midheaven in Libra on the world axis point. Like, there is no question in my mind. This is a world power. This is a long-standing world power. I think the chart's from what, 862 according to the Julian calendar. So this is a seed, this is a tree of, this is a base power chart. And it's gonna take a lot to get it to go anywhere. Russia is an ascendant in Scorpio, so that's also a very powerful power player chart. And this isn't a live stream to be like, yes, Russia's powerful. This is kind of a live stream where, you know, I'm kind of looking at everything and I'm seeing that the correlations between nation state natal charts and leadership natal charts and World War II's natal chart, the Declaration of War chart, is all connected. And the fact that we kind of came out of these great conjunctions of 2020, we're in the Pluto return in the United States, which does also kind of correlate into this as well. And then also Vladimir Putin's chart. Good night, man. Have a good one. Thank you, Bryce. Vladimir Putin, I think, is very interesting because Russia's chart is Libra, Scorpio, and what is the moon in? The moon is in Cancer. So it's a Cancer square the Sun, square Saturn, square the MC. And interesting enough, Vladimir Putin's chart, he is a Sun in Libra, just like Russia is a Sun in Libra, Moon in Gemini, Ascendant in Scorpio. And also the thing that I want to note about his chart is his midheaven is conjunct Pluto at 21 degrees of Leo. Now the thing that is important to note about this is literally his purpose is in almost a crossroads energy to the ascendant of Russia. Now, the reason why this is so important is that Russia and the Ukraine are going through squares to the nodes of fate. So the north and south node right now by transit are in the sign of Taurus, the north node, which is kind of like where we're being pulled in a life path, life purpose way. South node in Scorpio, where we're letting out the karma. The south node in Scorpio is on the ascendant of Russia's natal chart. So literally in real time, Russia is releasing past karma into the world. Into the world, this karmic cosmic energy is being let go, released out. And I think that's very important to note because Vladimir Putin's chart is being pulled into 4 different directions. So he's literally receiving a fixed, not quite a fixed cross in his life, but he's literally on the crossroads. And if you refer back to my Pluto return video, I talk about the crossroads. I talk about how we're at a crossroads. Putin's chart himself is at a crossroads. Who else is at a crossroads? Joe Biden. So, Joe Biden also has his sun in Scorpio. His sun is at 27 degrees Scorpio and is conjunct almost within 2 degrees of the ascendant of Russia. It's also square this midheaven and Pluto of Vladimir Putin. So I do think these 2 leaders are in, like I was saying, in like the matrix energy, the matrices. These are literally the matrices, like the mirrors, the hall of mirrors. They're literally creating this hall of mirrors with one another. And the thing that I find extremely important in this whole situation is that the moon, which is the home energy for Ukraine, is all in the mix of this. So Ukraine's moon is in the sign of Aquarius, and it is conjunct the nation state of Russia's natal Neptune, which is all about confusion and deception. We're not being told the whole story here. And the fact that the major world players are all connected astrologically in a lot of ways, in a case that I would argue we are in sort of this cosmic reality here. It's almost like it's like this inverse reality of whether we're in this intuitive war, cosmic war, karmic war right now. It's not just the physical, tangible. It's not just me being able to pick up a pen and write on a piece of paper. This is something bigger, and it is reflected in all of this data that is astrology. But it's really hard to kind of condense it all together because it's not even just the nation state of Russia's chart. It's not even just the nation state of the Ukraine's chart. It's not even just these world leaders' charts. This also, I was looking at NATO's chart. And NATO, as a treaty, was April 4th, 1949, 4:30 p.m. in Washington, D.C. So this particular chart is an interesting chart because if we think about the power players of NATO and we think about the power players in the East, and I haven't even brought in, China or any players other than, Russia, US, UK, there is this idea that, because that treaty was formed under Aries energy and a lot of Aries energy, there's a stellium in Aries, that, war is, in this particular case, this is a war chart. These are all power players and power shifters. I think it's so interesting from a spiritual level that Biden's chart himself is extremely Scorpio, extreme to the extreme. And also Vladimir Putin's chart is extremely kind of this mixture because he has his ascendant in Scorpio, and that also puts Joe Biden in his first house. These two are meant to kind of be out in the world together. But Scorpio is such a hidden sign. So, I'm on a live stream right now. There's so much to digest, but I did want to at least share something. And I do want to kind of share the chart of World War II. That chart is kind of, we're kind of being shown the inverse of this in many ways, because the chart of World War II, that North Node was in Scorpio at 0 degrees. And now we're facing the nodal sort of reversal of this. Now we've seen these nodes before. But the thing about this is we're also seeing, powerful energy such as Pluto in Capricorn. We're seeing powerful energies such as the Saturn-Uranus squares. We're seeing powerful energies kind of shift the planet in many ways, the great conjunctions, everything that's going on, to the point that it's hard to discern when I look at all of these charts together. Because I was like, how do I even talk about these charts as individuals when I can see that, you know, they're creating almost crosses within one another. And because all of these charts cross one another, you know, it's further proof to me that astrology, you know, we're all connected in many ways. But it's also further proof to me that whether we consider this something psychological for all of us to kind of sit back and watch, whether it's a wag the dog type of situation, or whether this is something where it's just like this cosmic dance that we're all witnessing, and it's really up to us. Because the thing about Ukraine's natal chart that I think is extremely important is that Ukraine's ascendant is conjunct the North Node in Capricorn. And by transit, Venus and Mars conjunct just went over that degree at 16 degrees Capricorn last week. So now that transit is further into the first house of the Ukraine's natal chart for that nation state. But it's very also interesting to me that, you know, Ukraine's chart was very much seeded out of Russia's natal chart, and politically was seeded out of that country. So yes, there can be a grab of that natal chart from the Russian natal chart. Ukraine is a Virgo sun, moon Aquarius, ascendant Capricorn. But because that North Node is on the ascendant of Ukraine's chart, they are supposed to fight for sovereignty. And the fact that Pluto is in the first house here is this fight for their power. So we're going to see a lot of this. This is examples of Pluto in society right now. The examples of transformation in society right now. There's a lot to say. This is just scratching the surface, but I wanted something to at least share because there's so much going on in the world. And even yesterday when I did my live and I didn't share the full live, it could go on and on, you know, based on just Canada's chart alone and the United States chart alone. So I'm gonna, you know, hopefully share more content as we go along, but we're gonna see a lot of this throughout the next few years, especially leading through 2025. So we have a lot still to see, but these natal charts are really, really all connected, and that's from, you know, all around the world. So, you know, it does get into history. It does get into, you know, the fact that I do think that a lot of these world leaders, you know, they know exactly what they're doing when they're signing a treaty at a specific time on a specific date. And, you know, by transit, a lot of these countries, a lot of these world leaders are being affected by these nodal transits right now, whether they're having a square to their midheaven, whether they're having a direct transit to their ascendant. These are really important transits. And the fact that I looked at both Vladimir Putin's natal chart and Joe Biden's natal chart, and they're both receiving direct hits, this isn't just going to get scratched under the surface. You can't ostrich effect this. You know, you can't put your head in the sand. These are things that are going to keep building and building and building until all of us kind of wake up to whatever the fuck is going on. Whether you see this as a spiritual war, which in my humble opinion, that is what this is. This is a war of whatever, the subconscious versus the conscious, the woke versus the unwoke. But this is something that really does require a lot. So with that, I'm going to post this video. This is a very humble live today, but the information hopefully will live on Instagram as long as it needs to. So peace, love, be safe.